folks, grab a seat and pour your drink neat as Whiskers and Whiskeys present Tales of the Trophies, the Big Ten's greatest rivalries, post-Thanksgiving, post-rivalry weekend. How are we doing, fellas?
We are doing pretty good here.
We are fantastic.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're doing better than pretty good, Joe.
Yeah, the sleep wise I'm not, but everything else is looking good for me right now.
Yeah, man. Lucy lives in a world where, Michigan is undefeated against Ohio State. I think undefeated in general, right? So she's never seen the Buckeyes beat the Wolverines.
It's true.
And that's wonderful.
Let's keep it that way.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, we've hit the level at our house of sleep deprivation where my wife, about an hour ago, said that she was going to get herself a nice little treat, a nice little root beer float. And didn't think anything of it, and then sat down. I saw her sit down, and she had it in a cereal bowl. Not because we don't have dishes; they're clean. We actually have a couple of mugs that would look real nice with a float. I think it was just even an unconscious choice. I don't even think she realized she did it, but
she was just like ice cream. Yeah,
I don't see any problem with that. And I when you sent it to us, I said that I don't see any problem with it. But the one thing I will say is you have to have the right utensils. You need a straw in that case, because you're not spooning up a.
That's what she
root
did.
beer float.
It was like
she needs a straw. Okay, she needs a straw then. Otherwise, same.
I respect the hustle. That's a big time fat kid move. Respect that.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, so that's where we're at.
What an idiot. Well, she doesn't
like
listen,
Joe,
I'm sure.
Everything's well. Just little sleep deprived. That's all. Okay, guys. So because we are sleep deprived and coming back from a holiday weekend, we are just drinking whatever we want to drink.
Well, let me. This is JoJo's wild card whiskey week, so
there we go.
We're choosing
that.
our
That's
own.
Good branding, right there.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah, you need to let me handle it.
I'm sorry.
We're choosing our own whiskey drinks this week. You can do it neat. You can do it on the rocks. You can make your own drink. So I think we just go through and each say what we're drinking and why, if you want to, or what you like about it, or whatever.
Sure, I'll go first. I just grabbed the only bourbon I have in my house. I have some ryes. I don't know what to do with them.
You need to get that bar built in your basement.
I know. I'm actually sitting at the location it'll likely go. Yeah. So I just grabbed the only bourbon I had, which was Bullet. Just put it on the rocks. Easy peasy.
Nice.
Lemon squeezy.
Mike.
Yep. Old Forester 1920. Yeah.
Was that a purchase when you were up in PA?
No, that was actually right before I went to PA. That was one of the I saw 1910, 1920 on the shelf, grabbed them both. Well,
you can't try one without the other. You gotta see how the years how they compare.
Yeah. So went ahead, grabbed that. That was a really nice haul from the old liquor store there. So they only had 2 bottles of the 1920 and one bottle of the 1910 left. So might as well.
Nice. So for mine, similar to a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week, I don't remember what we did. I went with Jack Honey, which has been my go-to lately, and threw some apple cider in. It's a nice fall drink. Little drizzle of honey on there, just to add a little bit more sweetness.
That was the only thing I was drinking for a while there. Yeah. After we did that episode,
you can't go wrong with Jack Honey.
No. Do you do a little bit of lemon in there?
I thought about it, but I didn't. No, not this time. I might make another one. I might do another one.
I made one after the episode. I'm like a couple of days after the episode, I was like, it's missing something. I'm like, that lemon really, really spoke to me, I think. And just a little squirt of lemon, it really helps to like
bring it all together.
Yeah. It's the glue. It's the glue that brings.
You'd think it'd be the honey, but really it's the lemon.
You would think, but it's that acidity, that really helps to kind of like balance it nicely. Yeah. So
the lemon juice.
Yes, lemon juice is Actually, I'm drinking this 1920 here, and I tell you, it's potent stuff. I've been working late tonight. Probably gonna keep working after we get off this Zoom. And yep. This is the juice that I approving time cards, baby. That's what we're doing. So
nice. All right. Well, we have a lot of college football to go over here. It was an exciting weekend. We knew it would be with rivalry weekend. We had 5 of our trophy games happen finally, and most of them didn't disappoint. And then obviously a couple huge statement wins this week, an upset, and we have the playoff just got released, the standings, the official standings as they sit now, with major implications on who's where. So we have all this coaching carousel. I don't know if it's ever been like this before.
Oh yeah, we gotta dig into that. I just add notes on that. Yeah.
And I mean, and it's championship weekend, so we have all sorts of stuff to get through. So
a lot of questions.
Let's go through. So the first thing, the Heroes Trophy. So that was Nebraska. That was Iowa.
Slow start for Iowa.
I mean, at this point, you almost feel bad for Nebraska, kind of. I mean,
I do. I mean, they're the most exciting 3-win team in the nation. That's for damn sure.
They're almost like the Lions of college football.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, not the Lions have won, clearly, but
that's apropos.
You just feel bad for them. They kind of they hang around in games long enough where you think they're going to have a chance, then they just don't. They blow it.
This might have been their worst, because a lot of these games, it's been like either tied or they've been like, well, I guess they've been ahead in a couple, but this one just felt bad. You know, they were up 7 and really had to, fumble it away to get to that loss.
I don't know if you guys took it. I mentioned it to you guys, but I maxed out the boost that FanDuel had for this game, that Iowa would be leading at halftime and win the game, which I thought was a lock. So I maxed it out at $50 and they were down at half. So luckily I watched the game real closely, and I liked the live bet. And so I ended up making my money back with Iowa as they made their kind of slow comeback. I took the money line for Iowa when it was like juicy, and it paid off.
Yeah, I mean, Joe and I were watching this closely because I had just at the beginning put $15 on Iowa money line, and then they were also part of other parlays that I had. So we were definitely watching and very upset. And then in a flip of a coin, they had blocked field or a blocked punt, and then there you go, off to the races. It was quite the game.
Yeah, you feel bad, especially for what was his name, Smothers.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even Martinez is playing.
Yeah.
The backup came in. Yeah,
no, red shirt sophomore. Is that right?
Something.
Yeah,
I mean,
a rookie basically.
Yeah, I mean, you're in trouble with Nebraska if Petrus didn't start for good reason, and then he comes in and wins the game for Iowa. That's not great.
He really didn't do that much either to win the game. It was more the defense and special teams, but then he had
a couple throws.
Yeah, he had a sneak too. They pushed him in. So
yeah. So that sent, because of another game that we'll talk about in a second, that put Iowa into the Big Ten championship. So it was a very important comeback for them.
Yeah.
Mike, you have anything else? Were you able to catch this game?
No, I didn't really watch it.
Okay. And we got to see the trophy. I think, Joe, you were the one that posted.
On the story.
Yeah, on the story. That was awesome. As soon as I saw that on TV, I was like, oh man, I probably should be recording this. And then you did that. So thank you. It was it was great.
I meant to save it to the highlights, but I don't think I did in time.
It looked good. I did see when you posted that. It looked great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. They got a lot of screen time for it, and they showed them storming the field, and not storming the field, but like leaving the field with it down the tunnel and everything. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. And kind of a side note I had mentioned too, this is probably the first time I've really watched college football or college game day, from 9 to noon. Usually I just catch the last like 30 minutes or so. And they actually had a really cool montage.
On all the trophies.
Yeah, where they went through all the trophies this weekend, which obviously highlighted most of the trophies that we've talked about. Which
would have been nice if they put a little plug in there for us.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Come on, Kirk.
Next year.
Come on, Lee.
Okay, so the next trophy we talked about was the Land of Lincoln Trophy. So that's Illinois. That is, what's the other one? Northwestern.
Yeah.
And it was a massacre, like we all thought.
Yep. That's pretty much it.
Wildcats stink.
Yep. Sure do.
Sorry, Mr. Spanos.
Sorry, sir. But yeah, not great. Anything else to add there?
Nope.
They just weren't strong enough.
Covers it. Yeah.
They were not strong
They were
enough.
not strong enough.
So the next one was the Old Oaken Bucket recap. That's Indiana. That's Purdue. It was a massacre. Like we all thought.
I feel silly for not putting more money on this game. Like I was like, Purdue, like maybe they're dead. No, sure weren't. No, I felt so dumb looking at that score. But yeah, massacre like we all thought. We got a lot more to talk about. We can keep it moving.
Yeah, and honestly, the only other thing I'll mention here is I thought it was really cool that when they talked about the Old Oaken Bucket, they obviously looked at Coach Corso and they had the picture that we had of him.
Yeah.
So we're researching the same places that Game Day does.
Google.
Guys.
I think Corso pulled that out of his wallet and gave it to him. They scanned it real quick.
Yeah, so that was cool to see that. The bucket. All right, next one, Land Grant Trophy. That's Michigan State, Penn State. And it was crazy, especially because Joe texted me as well. Michigan, Ohio State was first, and I knew there was going to be some snow, and I expected it to be closer to what was in Ann Arbor, which was, I don't know, maybe like an inch throughout the game, Joe.
Yeah,
probably.
it was kind of blustery, but it wasn't sticking to the ground really. It was the ground was solid, so it wasn't anything like this.
Yeah, so the game was played in East Lansing, which is only about 45 minutes northwest of there, an hour northwest of there, and there was about 4 inches of snow on the ground.
It must have just been the timing, like the perfect timing for all the snow to collect. And I mentioned to you guys, I think maybe just because they weren't running around on the field, like keeping it somewhat warm and like kind of stirring it up at all before, because the game was later. Maybe that's the only reason that it stuck so much. But once it stuck, it was there. Like, it was pretty serious. Yeah,
it was a fun game to watch because of the
there's
snow.
Nothing like a good snow game,
right?
You know, like that is just like, whenever I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, we are in for a game today.
I will say one thing infuriated me. The stupid yellow line.
Yeah.
They can't. The yellow line that shows you the first down, which you take for
they mentioned that too.
Yeah, their software can't pick it up.
It is 2021. Let's figure it out.
Just have someone draw it on the screen at that point.
That's what I said.
The circle players and stuff.
Have the ball boy just take a piss, like back and forth. Keep that kid hydrated and just.
I was just thinking, how hard would it be for someone to just have 10-yard intervals? Like they can just set that parameter, and then they just have to have someone eyeball like rough. I mean,
it's already a rough estimate to begin with,
right?
They always tell you like, oh, this isn't too accurate. Don't judge this if it's not right.
The entire game, I literally had no idea whether it was a first down, whether it wasn't. Like, it had to be a long play. There were times where I thought we had like a 12-yard pickup. It was 4 yards. It was honestly very infuriating. And I can count on the screen, but
you're not a dumbass.
No,
that's the chaos of the snow game. You're like you have no idea what's happening. No,
you're just it also gives you a perspective, seat. Like kind of going back to like your playing days, like when you're on the field. There's no yellow line on the field when you're down there. Like you look up, you're like, did I get the first down? And it shows you kind of how the players can lose track of it pretty easily.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or cameraman, just pan a little bit to the orange sticks. Like, just let me see a little bit of that orange stick
they can adjust.
On the sideline.
I thought you were going to say the Penn State white uniforms, how they blended in with the snow. Because a couple times, I had trouble locating players. Like, they had a wideout.
That's why
he was in the end
State
zone.
Does it.
Yeah, and they couldn't. They're like, you can barely see him, and they did circle him on the broadcast. They're like, there's a guy here, but you won't be able to see him.
Yeah, it was a good game. I sent you guys a text prior to the game. Michigan State had the flu run through their team. So players like Walker and Reed, they didn't even practice till Friday. And I guess that was just not even a real practice. They had 20 players that were sick. I had zero expectations, and I see the snow and I'm like, yeah, no way. But they gutted it out, played pretty well. And, they got their 10th win, which is only the 10th time that's happened at Michigan State to have a 10-win season. So it's pretty significant for us.
You would think James Franklin still on the sideline at that point would be like, you know what? Where there's not snow? Southern California. You would think.
Damn it. Just sign that new contract.
Yeah.
He did, really, but he didn't get paid very much compared to everyone else, man. It was
what did he get? I didn't see it. I saw it was like 10 years, right?
10 years, 7.5 a year.
That's what I thought. I mean,
They got him on a down year.
You have to. Yeah, you have to wonder what was going through James Franklin's head, man. Like if he
I mean,
really was a front runner at USC,
maybe he
like,
wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the writing was
Yeah.
on the wall there. I mean, to be fair, when you look at his numbers, there
Maybe
really
they
isn't
saw
a
that
reason
interview where
why.
he was like mentioned he's playing at the big house and he's playing against Illinois. And they're like, yeah, we don't want this guy anymore.
Yeah, so it was a great game. Now Michigan State actually has to root for Michigan because they're sitting at 11th, and if you want a New Year's 6 bowl, you have to beat at least 12th. So if Iowa beats Michigan, that's bad news bears for Michigan State. So go blue.
Also, yeah. Also, congrats to Mel Tucker, Big Ten Coach of the Year.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
very,
nice.
very
Yeah.
cool.
Congrats, Mel. Atta babe.
Yeah, great time here with all this coaching nightmares and transfers, because they're on like most coaches. Well, I guess most coaches that don't have a game next weekend are on the recruiting trail because early signing is December 15th. So this is time to get those little flippy flops, and what a great time for that to happen and all this chaos to happen.
Yeah, really.
So
I think for the teams, all three of our teams and a lot of other teams, it's nice to have some kind of solidarity where your team's not, you're comfortable. Your team's not wondering who the coach is next year, and Notre Dame and even USC up until yesterday.
Oklahoma. I mean, I was just going to say, I know a lot of people have a lot of gripe with Tucker's contract and everything. I mean, I'm just going to say it looked like it was the right move to do it because, there's been some shockers here.
Well, I sent you that.
Pissed about Tucker's contract?
He's had NFL.
Really?
He had NFL interest too before he signed that.
Well, it's just the number. Like, obviously, he's not as proven. That's a very high number for a coach that hasn't fully proven himself.
It's been a good year for the Spartans. Like, geez, man.
Good 2 years.
Yeah, really.
So I was happy about that. Great game. I would challenge. I was telling my in-laws this, and Mike, you might disagree, maybe you don't, but I would love to force some of these SEC schools to play in that and see what it looks like, because they get off pretty easy this time of year. Then you play your bowl games in nice warm weather. I'd like to see what an Alabama would look like playing their bowl game at Lambeau, in January.
I would
playing any game.
Love that too.
I would, like Georgia. Let's see how mean Georgia is right now. Put them in. Columbus, maybe not against the Buckeyes, but somewhere cold up north. I'd love to see it.
I mean, Alabama, maybe this year, sure, like, maybe that weather makes a difference, but like Georgia, that defense, I mean, defense travels, defense plays in the weather. Like, I don't think
I want to. Yes, typically they do, but I want to see it. Those warm weather kids, they don't know snow.
I'd be up for it just to shut y'all up on this.
It'd be fun to watch.
Yeah. Okay, Paul Bunyan's axe, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Minnesota with the upset.
Row the boat, Sky U Ma, go Gophers, our quarter zip king. You cost me money. I thought Wisconsin was a lock. I'm like, they're motivated. They have to play for the Big Ten West. Like, they're going to get it done. But you know what, man? You can't be mad at PJ Fleck and the Golden Gophers coming away with a big win, even though it cost me a whole bunch of money after I was already in an incredibly big hole from a game that we will talk about, the game that we will talk about.
I think you were the only one that took Minnesota.
Wisconsin. Hammered the hell out of Wisconsin.
I'm talking about our picks from last week. I think we all took Wisconsin, didn't we?
I believe
I thought Mike took Minnesota, though.
No.
Oh, okay.
Mm-mm. Well, maybe I did on
Nebraska.
the podcast.
That's what I think.
What I did in real life,
because you mentioned PJ Fleck, and I think you said they would cover, so I don't think you really answered.
Oh yeah, that's right. You didn't want to answer. You're being real squirrely about.
That's what you get.
Wins and losses.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. I mean, it was a classic game. Very close, and Minnesota pulled it off. I mean, Minnesota still had hope. They played at the same time as Iowa. So if Iowa would have lost, and Minnesota would have been in with the win. So they definitely had everything to play for. But great way to end the season. PJ got his contract extension earlier in the year and had a couple of really bad losses. So good for him to bounce back.
Do you guys know, is that running back of theirs that got hurt like week 1? Is he coming back or is he a senior?
I believe he is a senior, but I think with COVID, I think he has another year if he wants it. I would assume he probably would.
Well, plus like this,
I don't think he's a big enough name to.
If he didn't take a medical red shirt, he could have done it for this year too.
Yeah,
he only played one
probably.
game. So.
Yeah. I think if he plays Yeah, if he plays the entire year, he's probably, maybe the 5th running back off the board, maybe a 3rd or 4th round pick because he's very good. But I'd assume he'd probably come back just to give himself another shot at being a higher pick.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's all the trophy games. It was nice to see. I did see the axe, I believe. I'm trying to remember. I did not see the other ones live. I did see a picture of the land grant because no way they were going to carry that in the snow. Someone would have
beautiful beast
hurt themselves trying to lift that thing around in the snow.
Worthwhile.
But awesome. it was a great weekend for these Big Ten trophied games. A lot of fun. So let's get on to there were some big statement wins that had some very important implications to the playoff. We'll start with the first one, the game. Ohio State, Michigan. It finally happened. Joe, I'm just going to let you go here.
Yeah. All right. So I have a few things noted here. First thing, Ohio State and Stroud. I think Mike can agree with me. Not invincible, not the Heisman frontrunner that everyone's been making them out to be. They played Akron. They played my brother's Pee Wee team. They've played
St. Mary's
nobody.
For the blind and deaf.
Yeah, they've played nobody since that lost to Oregon. I'm not saying they're
Paul.
I'm not saying they're a bad team. They're a good team, but I don't think they're as good as everyone. I know now they're not as good as everyone was making them out to be, which is beautiful. So happy to see that. Another key point of the game, JJ McCarthy played very few snaps, but he did play. We've been tracking that kind of all year to see what the 5-star would do. After the Michigan State botched 2 fumbles, I was very interested to see if he'd get a chance or if he'd even play at all. He came in, he did throw a 30-yard dime. That was a key first down. I think that was in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah.
It was a great pass, but that was the only pass he had. So 30-yarder. But he came in a few times and ran it. Also did what he needed to do. So no fumbles or anything. So I did see he tweeted or posted on Instagram the day after the game, I think, said something like just the beginning. So everyone's kind of reposting that saying they're happy with how he's been handled on the field, in the locker room, at practice. Keep him happy. I mean, he's going to be your future. So it will be interesting to see what they do next year with Cade and him.
Just to jump in on that real quick. I think that because a lot of people have said a lot of things about Harbaugh and his coaching abilities, but if JJ sticks around and is bought in with him saying that just the beginning, that may be his biggest coaching accomplishment to date. In the era of the transfer portal.
It's a whole different story. You gotta keep them happy, but you also don't want them to be in charge. You know what I mean? You're still the coach. You're still the guy. It's a very weird kind of dynamic, I feel like, right now, where everyone's still trying to get used to it.
Yeah. And you can point to, I think that if I were Harbaugh, I would point to Jalen and Tua in that situation because that worked out really well for the both of them. I mean, they're both have had great, Tua's the hottest QB arguably one of the hottest QBs in the league right now, having incredible success. And, Jalen was hotter earlier, but he stumbled a little bit. But
I feel like I'd swap those. I feel like Jalen's hotter right now, and Tua's struggling. But still, they're both in the league. They're both.
Yeah, he's beaten the Texans and the Jets.
Yeah, well,
after some terrible games to begin.
I think it's the NFL, baby. Anyways,
I think the point you're trying to make is
I don't want to hijack it.
Also, to add on to that, you can also present him with, look, you don't have to play a full season. You don't have to take over and play 3 seasons. You just do what you need to do when you get your chance. You'll have your senior year, and then you're straight into the NFL. You're good to go. You're healthy. You're not risking your knees. You're not, I don't know if that's
the Tua situation is a good comparison there because he did.
Yeah. But I'm saying you're saving some tread on your tires if you're not playing 3-4 full seasons like a normal situation would be.
I will say it'll be interesting though, for McCarthy in particular. And I don't really know much about him. I don't know if he has aspirations to get a degree or not. But if you think about obviously you can go pro after your 3rd season. So you're thinking, okay, well, you your 1 year one's done. I assume that I don't know, maybe Harbaugh will make the change next year, but with Cade back, you'd assume that they probably do something very similar again next year, potentially him taking over. But then it's like after those 2 years, does he just want 1 year? It could be risky if he doesn't have a good year and he has to come back for fourth, or maybe he was going to come back always and wants his degree, which I can understand as well.
I think his third year would be his year by him on his own. He'd be gone after next year, so he'd have 1 year.
1 year as potentially the full start. I mean, he could start next year, of course.
But at the same time, what I'm getting at is you got to keep him happy, but you also want to make sure that as the coach, you're in charge.
Well, again, going back to Jalen Tua, I mean, Tua spelled Jalen in the first national championship, and then came back around and Jalen spelled Tua, and they didn't win the Natty that year, but got them through the championship game. So I think there's something to be said. So that like playbook, that framework is already there. So I think it'll work itself out. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, there was some other stuff I want to mention real quick before we move on. I know Harbaugh took a pay cut this year for obvious reasons. They weren't winning the games they needed to win. And it was just released, I think, yesterday that he is donating all the bonus money from postseason to all the staff for the team and the program. So everyone that was cut for COVID and all that. So they're getting the money. So that was pretty sweet. And then on top of that, which reminded me, JJ McCarthy reposted that and said something like he's not chasing the cheese, he's chasing greatness. So like he's clearly still happy with his coach after playing not every game this year. So
shit, man, I would
winning
too
will
after
do that.
win.
Yeah, I was gonna say
What's
winning
that?
will do that for you.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I've been saying this whole season. If you're winning, you're happy, right?
Yeah, it cures all sins.
So then you got the only other thing I got for this, two things actually. Hutchinson is now apparently in the talks for the Heisman. I don't see it happening, but happy for him. And then the last part, I don't know if you guys saw it. Matt Leinart going to all these games. He's been doing all these games. He tweeted right after the game, that was the best college environment or best environment I've ever seen in college football. So I thought that was kind of a nice little kudos for Ann Arbor and the Blue.
I gotta say, as an outsider, like that game, I thought Gus called it really well. And there was a moment where it was like, towards the end of the game, like if Michigan scores here, this place is gonna erupt. And you could hear it was like real quiet, and Gus is just like, oh, if they punch it in here, this place is gonna blow up. And then they scored and the place erupted. I'm like, that's just so cool. I also want to comment on Hutchinson. I think that the O-line should also be considered first rounders because
they've been great.
Manhandled Ohio State's defense, which was no small task. And also just want to call out, it was pretty cool watching Juwan Howard and Harbaugh mix it up after the game. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to have a chance when you, on the offensive side, push people around like that. But honestly, I think
people around.
Yeah.
They push people. That's an understatement of the century. They smacked them up.
Yes.
They did not even take them out to a nice steak dinner beforehand.
No, Michigan didn't even need to
them.
Throw the ball. They threw the ball just because.
Yeah,
they could.
And that's the thing. I think that's what everyone's been knocking them for all year. It's like, well, we can't. And that's what they kept trying to defend. Like Harbaugh wasn't really defending it clearly. He said something about some people travel by land, some travel by air. Like we just chose this week to travel by land, whatever. I think it just shows like they've been able to do it all year, but if you don't have to, then don't do it.
I think what frustrated people were like, if they were playing a defense that was known for run defense, they still ran the ball and sometimes to little success. This was just a perfect storm of like, how do you beat the Buckeyes? You run it down their throats. And it's not just that you tried to run the ball, you're already very good at it. It was just like the perfect storm. I was more shocked. I that didn't surprise me. It was the fact that I don't think Michigan's secondary, beside Dax Hill, of course, is that great, but you don't need to be when Hutchinson is in the backfield. I would say like 18 pressures. I think it was the single. It was since PFF has been tracking pressures since I think it was 2014. He registered the single most in a game. I think it was like 18 pressures, obviously, along with the sacks.
Yeah.
You have a Jabo on the other side that didn't even play football like 2 years ago, and the dude's going to be a first-round pick.
Well,
when you got those two guys cramming it down your throat, it doesn't matter who's playing cornerback.
And
it was just a mess.
That's where the CJ Stroud being a freshman, like how do you deal with that? And one other thing that Gus was saying all game was like, Ohio State, their lightning fast offense, they can score at any time.
Yeah,
man, Olave was really kept in check. I mean, he had some big plays, but like not really. I mean, hats off to Michigan's defense and their.
I think that was kind of the plan, though. Like that, they've had that for a few games. Bend but don't break. Kind of like give up the shorter Olave passes, but not like the big. I mean, they had that one touchdown pass, which was a great play, but that was about it.
Yeah.
I just felt like I
still think he closed his eyes and threw it on that touchdown pass.
I felt like
Chris is down there somewhere.
Under the circumstances, I thought now again, I am just looking at this from like looking at a quarterback for like the Lions in the sense. I thought Stroud in the pocket. I mean, you got to remember his two tackles are first-round picks. Like Pierre, whatever, the left tackle, and then the monster on the right side, they're both first-round picks. And Hutchinson and Ojabo made them look like rookies, like freshmen. So I thought there were times where he moved in the pocket pretty well, got away from pressure, but obviously he's not spectacular, or he would have made more plays to win the game. But I don't know. I thought that defensive line, and there was some guys in the middle that just played well. I don't know. It was just a complete game. Michigan didn't make mistakes. Ohio State had like 7 false starts, 8 false starts. Anytime they had momentum or like a second and short, they just kept shooting themselves in the foot, which obviously is to credit the crowd and everything for that, because they were making these veteran, like I said, first round pick linemen jump off or have false starts, and that's definitely credit to the crowd for that.
There were a lot of recruits obviously at that game. That's the big game, but I did see there were 2, I think 5-star corners at that game. I think one verbally committed already, and they're waiting on the other one. And then since then, we had a 4-star defensive end from Richmond, I think just officially signed. He was at the game as well. So I mean, those are huge. Like, I think that's big for future
for the program. Yeah. And I'll say, before we wrap up this topic, and Joe, I told you this. I bet an irresponsible amount of money on Ohio State to cover. So much money that I spent the entire day trying to dig out of that hole. I'm still not out of that hole. I actually had a pretty nice little NFL Sunday, but boy, really still deep in the hole. Actually, like we're still not even seeing daylight. But I bet a lot on Ohio State covering, but I will say, they say money can't buy happiness. And I am still like,
you bought my happiness.
I came out of that game being like, that was a fun game. I had a lot of fun watching it. I feel terrible. I feel awful about the money I lost, but that was a fun game. Great environment. It was just like an instant classic. And kudos to Harbaugh and the Wolverines, man. They kicked ass, and that was awesome. So very happy for you. Very happy for Lucy. Undefeated Wolverines in her lifetime. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I don't know. It's nice to just kind of have that monkey off your back. Like that's all you hear is Harbaugh can't win before it was can't win the games when you're against a ranked opponent. You couldn't win a game against one of the big rivals. Like, so finally nice to get those over with.
Yeah. And finally got to the Big Ten championship game.
We'll see. I mean, I think I told you guys
going.
I mean, obviously I want them to win, but they've already exceeded my expectations.
And one last thing on this. I forgot to send you guys. I don't know why I didn't. Joe, you might have seen this, but so apparently the majority of the hotels in Indianapolis where the Big Ten championship is held, obviously a lot of teams pre-book buy their tickets, especially if you're like Wisconsin, you're feeling really good about it. Well, rightfully so, Ohio State fans had the majority of the tickets. Oh no, it gets better. So they had the majority of the tickets and the majority of the hotels in the city, but because Michigan won, a lot of these fans are holding on to are going to eat the cost of the hotels and the
Couldn't
tickets
happen to nicer people.
just so that they wouldn't sell them to Michigan fans.
Couldn't happen to nicer people.
Yeah. So it's
Airbnb,
a
baby.
mental, like, sore loser kind of thing there where obviously you don't want to eat your $600, but because it's Michigan, all these fans are considering, eating it. We'll see. Obviously
Couldn't happen to nicer people.
But I thought that was kind of an interesting little dig there to the rivalry. And
I didn't hear that yet.
Losing. Yeah. I thought that was interesting.
I did see the tickets are ridiculously expensive. I think the cheapest I saw were like $450 for like nosebleeds.
Nosebleeds, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, something that fans haven't seen, since it's been a Big Ten championship game. So should be a good one. Next game here, the Iron Bowl, another rivalry. A classic, not necessarily
as if my day couldn't get more stressful.
Not necessarily
sit
like
through that bullshit.
A very exciting game.
Oh
fun
yeah,
game.
for you.
I made some money on it.
I mean, it was.
I did too. Well, you know what? I didn't bet the game because, you're
too close to it.
Also like Alabama.
You told us you did.
Alabama. Well, hold on. I didn't bet it pregame.
Okay.
Because Alabama is hard to predict whether or not they're going to cover. So I didn't bet it. But then as soon as Jamison Williams got tossed for targeting.
Oh yeah, that's when
that's when I bet Auburn money line and to cover. And then as soon as Alabama missed a field goal, I hammered Auburn money line. I said, there's no way the Crimson Tide are winning this motherfucking game because, buddy, that's the recipe. You come to Jordan Hare, you miss some field goals, and you lose. But I tell you what, again, it goes to money can't buy happiness. And I tell you what, watching those sad sacks of shit, just the expression on their face whenever that what's his face? Seven caught that touchdown to send it to overtime. Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah. I can't remember what his name is either. Yeah, the biggest things that came away for me is one, no idea Bo Nix didn't play until I turned it on.
Yeah,
so that
what
is
happened?
also.
Did he get hurt in this game, or because I was kind of
no.
It was
Game
before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that also was shocking that Bo Nix was in that game.
That poor dude that was playing quarterback was hurt all game.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
He was. Even Anna mentioned, she's like, this guy just wants the game to be over. It's in quadruple overtime. This poor dude's hobbling out there trying to throw passes, getting his ass lit up.
I don't know about you guys, but the most fun part of the game for me was explaining to my mom and my wife how overtime rules work in college football.
It's the dumbest.
What a mess.
rule. It's so stupid.
Better than pros.
I would take.
I would they can't tie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. That's dumb in pros. Only really bad teams tie. So
hand up, everyone here. Yeah.
I hate that rule after the third overtime. You're not saving anyone's health there. That's the reason why they cut it. Give me a break. But also, I'm sorry, Nick Saban. There is zero reason why your number one receiver should be a gunner on special teams.
Did you see his post game interview?
No.
Saban's?
He's yeah. Did you see it?
No.
He's like, I told them at halftime, just go out there and have fun. I just want you guys to go have fun. I'm like, who? What?
How much does he get paid to say that?
Invasion of the body snatchers. I don't know what Miss Terry is doing to him, or maybe being a grandfather has changed him, but holy cow. That was who am I talking to right now? Go have fun.
A guy that's looking at that contract extension it's already retirement time. I mean, what more does that dude have to show? Nothing. He has nothing left to prove.
Well, he probably looks around I got Bill O'Brien, that doofus stuck Murray.
I can't wait. He probably wanted them to lose so he could fire them. That was probably what it was. I was like, no, Nick, you guys just do your
fire
thing.
him, dude. Bill and Pete going stink. Just fire him already.
Yeah.
No, he'll probably wait till they get dog walk 42-0 against Georgia to fire him. But
so I didn't really. I mean, all the nice things you just said about Michigan, I didn't really want to bring it up. I've kind of contemplated, but sorry, Mike. You know what today is?
Lay on me, big fella.
The 8-year anniversary of the Kick Six.
Kick Six. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Fun story. I was at a bar in what's undisclosed location. I was in a bar and I was walking out like after the kick, like literally they're not even in the end zone yet. And I'm up because we'd already paid the check and I'm walking out. And this kid in an Ohio State jersey is like sitting in a booth right by the door. And he points up. He literally points at me in the face and starts laughing. And just pure reflex alone, I cock back and sock him right in the face as head hits off the back of the bench and slams on the table. And I just kept on walking. And
that's assault.
As you
brother.
should with Ohio State fans.
Well, it is assault. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's why it's an undisclosed location. But yeah, that was also the night Paul Walker died. We went to a bar.
Night your buddy requested the song for him.
Yeah, we went to a bar, a dive bar after that, and requested "Good Riddance" by Green Day. Oh yeah.
Okay, on to the next exciting rivalry game, Bedlam, Okie State. This was the second catalyst to knocking off some perennial conference champions. Obviously, Ohio State, they had won 4 straight. And, Oklahoma done, out of it. Goodbye. I thought they were doomed because Coach Gundy decided to cut his hair. And my God, I had never wanted to see a mullet so bad in my life. And I was so disappointed when I saw his pregame interview.
I'm really surprised I haven't seen it on social media yet.
It just was normal. I mean, his hair up top was fine, like what it always is. It's always business up front, but he made the back business as well, and I just wasn't a fan. Not a fan.
I mean,
I hate it.
A thing of beauty is a joy forever, and a mullet is a thing of beauty. And damn shame.
It was the game itself was awesome. I loved Oklahoma State's uniforms. Those helmets should be their full-time helmets.
Agreed.
Always. Oklahoma really melted down in this game. Oklahoma State got away with a really, 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 really fortunate call at the end in the fourth quarter that allowed them to continue their comeback. But Oklahoma muffin punts on like the 5-yard line in the last like 5 minutes. Just bad news. Kind of a fitting way for Oklahoma to end their season. And obviously Coach Riley also wanted to get out of Norman.
Get onto that private jet.
Yep. Get on that private jet to Southern Cal, but very good. I really hope Oklahoma State finishes it off in the Big 12 championship game. It'd be awesome to see them in the playoff as well. Just some new teams, some fresh teams. Like I said, I think everyone's doomed anyway with Georgia, but at least get a couple more teams in there, a couple more, maybe a 2-3 matchup that looks fun before the massacre. But I thought this game was really interesting, back and forth. It was fun. It was a great rivalry game.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's going to be interesting here because I think that I'm going to lead into our next topic. When you look at how the playoff is shaping up, I don't have any faith in Alabama to beat Georgia. So I think that Alabama's out of the playoff. Cincinnati, Houston is no slouch, right? So that's gonna be a tough game. Michigan, Iowa, like Joe, I'll leave your thoughts to you on that. But I think there's room for another team to move in here. Oklahoma State, if they do, win the Big 12 championship, then obviously I think they're in. But there's another team who could theoretically get in
without a coach.
No coach. And that coaching carousel time, baby.
That just makes his departure even worse. But coaching carousel here, so we'll start with that one. Brian Kelly, I literally Irish goodbyes Notre Dame.
And you were the first one to make that joke today.
And heads to LSU and a shocking a very fast way. And I know a lot of fans and media are now going to probably lobby for this to be a dark period for that kind of a thing. So you don't have these teams left to dry, like Oklahoma and like the Fighting Irish, but especially in Notre Dame's case, not only do they have, I think, the third and fourth recruiting classes over the next 2 years as of now. So he's done a lot of good work there, but they could make the playoff and not have a coach, which is insanity.
And let's not forget that Brian Kelly killed a kid. So there's that too.
Yeah, I personally think, obviously for him, yeah, I mean, $9.5 million will do it for you. I don't really blame him for that. Obviously, I think he probably could have told LSU to hold on.
Yeah,
it's not like LSU has like a bowl game to like really worry about here.
I mean, listen, you kill a kid, you're going to hell. Touchdown Jesus doesn't like traitors, so you're definitely going to hell. Like that guy has a corner seat in hell right now. So do you guys know that Brian Kelly killed a kid?
I know now.
Yeah, I knew. I forgot actually, because I mean, it's not something that you bring up every week.
Yeah, they're practicing in very high winds, and he told the kid that does the camera, to go up on a scissor lift. It's like 40-50 mile per hour winds. Scissor lift tips over, kid dies. He keeps practice going for 25 more minutes after that, and they practice the next day.
He's definitely had his name raked through. I think I sent you guys a couple of posts that have gone around with past colleagues, some very famous ones, like Robert Saleh and Matt LaFleur, JJ Watt.
I've not heard that story before. That's straight out of Coming to America.
Yeah. So
I didn't hear this. What is it?
So when Brian Kelly was the coach at Central Michigan, his grad assistants were Robert Saleh and Matt LaFleur, and he was having a Christmas party at his house. So he told them to come over. And when they came, and they were excited, obviously, right? The head coach, had this famous party and had them over. And so when they got there, they realized they weren't on the guest list. They were actually on the working list. So he made them shovel snow and park cars for his party, and didn't tell them that ahead of time. Yeah. And they vowed to never treat, that was kind of like their moment together, where they were like, if we ever make it big, we'll never treat someone like that.
Wow.
So there's been a lot of stories like that about him. JJ Watt, he literally was in JJ Watt's home, getting him to go to Central. JJ Watt went to Central, and Watt said the next morning he saw on the news that Kelly left for Cincinnati, and Watt's like, I felt like an asshole.
I mean, that is straight out of not JJ Watt, but Saleh and LaFleur. That's Coming to America. That's where, Akeem, Simi, I'm having a party. Keep Saturday night open. I'm having a party. And then he's got them parking cars. Like that is the plot to Coming to America.
Yeah. So apparently he's not a nice guy. I mean, he looks friendly because he's, pudgy. Just has a friendly looking face, but apparently he's not a nice guy.
It's all right. Good luck recruiting south of I-10 whenever you're eating the spiciest gumbo in the world.
Yeah. For LSU, I was just going to say, I mean, for him, obviously it makes complete sense because money's money, but for them, I mean, the guy's been successful, but he's been successful in the Midwest and in the North. So he literally hasn't coached and has zero ties to the South. So I don't know how that's really going to help. Yeah, like LSU, you could have probably picked
freaking breaks off.
Like even like Billy Napier probably was the guy was at Lafayette, had rich ties to Louisiana. That was probably the better choice, given the guy's been there and has all the connections to the high schools and stuff like that. But hey, I'm not going to be too mad.
I'm not mad about the Tigers shooting themselves in the foot on this one.
Also not mad that Notre Dame is without a coach. We'll see what happens. I would love for some of these.
What's the rule about going back to this for like bowl games? What's the rule about bringing in like an interim coach just for the bowl game? Like, is it fair game to bring in whoever they want? Like, how does that work?
Yeah.
I saw Stoops is coaching for Oklahoma.
Yeah. So Bob Stoops is coming out of out of the booth and is going to coach for the game at Oklahoma. But yes, Joe, and the Irish said that if they do name an interim coach, he will not be a candidate for hiring, which also is
that's going to make people want to let me take this job that has no future.
Yeah. So We'll see. For Michigan and Michigan State's sake, I hope, because they obviously Notre Dame does a great job recruiting in that area. I hope these kids jump ship and find homes in Michigan. But I guess we'll see. But that was crazy. Lincoln Riley goes to USC, does a very similar move, just kind of overnight, pieces out. At least Kelly came back for an 11-minute meeting with his team before leaving.
Well, after the text message that told them.
Sorry. Yeah, Riley leaves. His plan.
Hope
his
you find
deal
your new
was
coach.
was ridiculous. Again, you can't blame him for leaving. The way he left, the timing is, I think, terrible.
I think they're gonna put some rules in place for kind of like poaching rules. Like you can't leave till after the bowl season or whatever. There's got to be a date they can, like, it's just like recruiting.
Right. Yeah. So that leaves two really big, even though two really big jobs got filled, it left two, like not as big, but the next tier down big jobs open. It'll be interesting to see who fills those. And Oklahoma's already having a stream of players leave for the portal. So that could be bad news for.
They'll probably have to change like the signing period though, because if you're gonna put in that type of rule that, okay, you can't leave till after bowl season, well, then you have to change the signing period, right? Because now all of a sudden you have to go recruiting and,
because they all hinge on each other.
It negatively impacts Notre Dame and Oklahoma, two schools, which, screw them. But it positively impacts USC and LSU, one of which screw them. The other one doesn't really matter.
And it's also not really fair for the kids either, because depending on the kid, and I don't know exactly the rules, I know it's a little looser now with the transfer portal, but it'd be pretty crappy if someone just signed at Oklahoma and then he pieces out and they're stuck there, right? So I definitely think, because of how crazy this year was, and because especially in Notre Dame got screwed over, college football will care and change
that.
It
just goes to show kids don't go to Oklahoma or Notre Dame.
Nope.
Don't do it.
Don't go to USC and don't go to LSU, because who knows what they're going to do.
Or get your team in a conference and maybe someone will help defend you.
Yeah. And then the last one, coaching carousel here was Billy Napier goes to Florida. Like we said, I mean, he's a big up and coming kid, has the Saban background, got the Raging Cajuns to some very successful seasons. Probably should have been LSU's choice, but he's probably going to make him pay at Florida.
I'm going to miss Dan Mullen and all of his fuckwithry, real jerk. But I did like, who was it? I forget which coach did it, but South Carolina. I forget who it was. Someone after their press conference threw up their hood, when Mullen did the whole Darth Vader type thing.
Who did beat them?
Yeah,
sounds like a Lane Kiffin move.
No, it wasn't Lane.
No. Oh shoot, they just showed it.
I know, it was so good.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it was good though.
Yeah, it was a good troll.
Yeah,
it was a great troll. Okay, so why don't we just quickly go through our championship weekend here, and just give some quick thoughts. Why don't we do some picks too? Why not? Of these weekends. So I just ordered these in the order in which they're going to be played. So Oregon, Utah, that's Friday. Awesome that it's Friday as well. Gives us something to watch on Friday. Love it. 10-2 Oregon, 9-3 Utah. It's the rematch.
That was a rough game the first round.
Yeah.
Utah. I've been
Utah
saying,
crushed them.
Yeah.
I've been saying, Oregon is incredible. They're an awesome program. Damn shame that they're not going to be in the playoff because they're such an elite program. No, really, I have no idea what's going to happen in this game. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to make a pick. My brain is in the blender. I have no idea what's going to happen.
You're going to change your betting anyway. You've made picks and just bet against it anyway. So just make your pick.
Oregon.
All right. It's in Vegas.
I'm also going Oregon. I think they're going to be more prepared. And it's also, the last one was in Utah. So
yep.
I'll go Oregon.
Same. I think Oregon, especially because this was just 2 weeks ago.
They don't want to be embarrassed.
They got embarrassed. Neutral site. Rose Bowl's still great. Fantastic way to end your season is to get to the Rose Bowl. I think Oregon does it. Next one, we have the Big 12. Oklahoma State 11-1 against Baylor 10-2. Just a little note here. Oklahoma State they have played each other this year, and they won the first matchup 24-14 in Stillwater. What do you guys think?
Can't bet against Mike Gundy.
Yep.
Even without the Tennessee waterfall. Oh, although maybe he's like Samson, he doesn't have this power when his hair gets cut. Oh boy. All right, Cowboys. Pokes up.
Yep. Also Cowboys.
Yeah, same. I just hope it for him. It's very similar to Michigan. He finally got the Oklahoma thing off his back. I hope he finishes it because they win. Barring an Alabama win, they're in. So Alabama loses. Okie State's going to jump up to that. Probably fourth spot, might jump Cincy, but they win. They have a good shot to be in. So I think they'll do it. Next one, SEC, Georgia, undefeated, Alabama, 11-1.
Georgia. Defense is too good, man. I mean, Auburn was just getting to Bryce Young with no problem. And yeah, Stetson Bennett doesn't have to do that much, and I believe that Stetson Bennett is way better than a kid with one freaking leg.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think the Bulldogs are I think Kirby Smart's gonna have his day in the sun here. So
I think I'm going to take Georgia, but I might check out that spread to see about Alabama covering, depending on what it is.
6.5.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's one of
I
those,
bet that one.
Yeah, it's one of those things where logic is Georgia, but it's Kirby Smart. So there's just that little bit
And
of
Nick Saban.
doubt. Right.
What if he tells them to go have fun? They're going to win.
Watch out. We need to see his weekly press conference first to see what mood he's in, because if he's in a really good mood, I don't know, man. We'll see.
I think for betting wise, I love a good live bet. I'm going to track this. And if you can get anything over 7, I think I might take that. Even especially if you can get it up by 10.
Yeah.
They go down early. Might be something to jump on.
Yeah. I think Georgia wins, but I'm kind of with Joe. We'll see what the spread. I just have a really hard time believing Alabama's going to get blown out. You have to just see it to believe it, right? Obviously it's possible, but you just it's one of those things. You have to see it to believe it first.
Yeah.
The next one, I don't even know what conference since he's in. I'm sorry. It's not Conference USA. I have no idea. They play Houston since he's undefeated. They're only on this list because they're undefeated and have a chance at the playoff. Houston's 11-1. They did not play each other this year. Houston's only loss was Texas Tech, the first game of the year. So since then, they've pretty much rolled. What do you guys think? Actually, why don't I give you a line too? So that'll tell us
since he's got to
how
be
close
favored,
it is.
Right?
Yeah. Let's see. Mike, what do you think? Let's not have some dead air here.
I want to say Cincy. It feels like just one of those situations where I wouldn't be surprised if Houston won because bails out the committee from having to make a decision. But
10.5.
10.5. Yeah.
It seems high. But
yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched a lot of Cincinnati or Houston football this year.
But it does say 75% of the bets are for Houston.
Because that's a high.
Because of the spread, yeah. But still.
I personally think I don't know. It's one of those things where the games that I've seen of Cincy have not been great. They've looked like a solid team, but not a great team. And they're going to have the pressure, right, of this moment. Houston really has nothing to lose beside, the glory of keeping Cincinnati out of the playoff and obviously winning their conference. So 10.5. I don't know about that.
This has got to be their toughest game besides Notre Dame, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll cover. I think it's kind of like the Alabama game. I think I'll take Cincy, but I don't know if they'll cover.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I think I might be one of those things where I watched the first drive. I think Houston's a pretty good team. They're ranked.
21.
So I think they very well could lose this. I'm not sure where this game's played at because I don't even know.
This is in Cincinnati at Nippert Stadium.
Oh, so maybe it's just one of those where the number one team gets home field. I know some of those group of 5 do that for their championships.
American Athletic Conference Championship.
The American Athletic. I know since he's moving up next year, but
shame on you. You should know that.
I know. Maybe I'll take Cincinnati at home, but I don't think they cover. Okay, next one, Big Ten, Michigan 11-1, Iowa 10-2. in Indianapolis. What do you guys think?
Wolverines.
10.5 is the line here again.
Wolverines.
For Michigan.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think Iowa might.
Wait. I think this has got to be wrong. It says minus 10.5 for Iowa.
Oh, if that's the case,
is
I'm
that
taking
basketball?
the Wolverines for sure.
No. Big Ten championship, Lucas Oil.
No
I think it's just
way.
wrong.
Yeah, that has to be wrong.
There's no way.
No
Joe,
way.
Take
Yeah.
that.
I don't. I mean, this is on Barstool, or this is on Bleacher Report, so it could just be they typed it in wrong. It's not on FanDuel yet.
It's 11. Michigan's on
yeah, it's
Barstool,
the other way.
11.
Michigan's minus.
Yeah, they just typed it in wrong.
Oh, I was gonna say if FanDuel or someone made that mistake, you take that.
Holy
now.
cow! Yeah,
you clear out your account for that one.
I was just looking on Bleacher Report because they put like a random spread on there that they find.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michigan for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to say. I mean, I think Michigan will win. Hopefully, will they cover? They should. I mean, Iowa has not looked good lately at all. I mean, they've been squeaking by,
and their defense is softened up, which is the worst thing for them coming into this game.
So yeah, if Michigan can run the ball, but at the same time, I could see Michigan getting up, say 14, and then kind of just cramming it down their throat. Iowa getting like a late score or something, just because Michigan's like that bend but don't break mentality, and then it's closer. It looks closer than it actually was. I could see that happening too, but I'm taking Michigan.
Yeah, I'm taking Michigan. I think the only thing that could derail them is if Iowa's defense shows up like it did before, and Cade makes a mistake. I don't think.
But then can Iowa's offense?
No, absolutely not. So that's why I could see. Yeah, I could see like if Michigan turns the ball over like in the red zone twice and Iowa has nowhere to go, like I could see that being a scenario. I don't see it, but that would be a scenario where Iowa could win. But I think Michigan probably wins big, finishes it off, gets to the playoff.
Big
like
win.
You just have all this momentum.
Hopefully.
And the last one, the ACC championship, Pittsburgh 10-2 versus Wake Forest 10-2.
I love Kenny Pickett, dude. I can't wait to see him wearing black and gold for the Steelers after we go 5-11-1. So yeah, love Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Panthers. I do like Sam Hartman. I think he's a great player, but
QB1.
Yeah, QB1, baby.
I'll take Wake Forest. I haven't really watched any Pitt besides highlights of Pickett to see if he's going to the Lions, but I think Wake Forest will pick it up after that North Carolina loss.
It's
kind of right the ship.
Yeah, it's a 3-point spread. Pittsburgh.
Clemson loss.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, they lost to but the comeback from UNC was horrible.
Yeah. The over under set at 72, which is probably right. I think
what is the over under at?
72.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought you said something else. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is tough for me because when you think Pittsburgh's going to play well, they don't. And when you don't think they'll play well, they do. They're one of those teams. So I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a close shootout. Probably last possession wins it.
This one's also in Charlotte.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a home game for Wake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
how
we'll see.
I mean, there's a lot of Yinzers down in North Carolina, though.
Like, it's also not that far.
Yeah. Well, Pittsburgh, like, there's a lot of people from Pittsburgh that like moved to North Carolina. Like, you know.
There's also a lot of people from Pittsburgh that like Penn State because Pittsburgh is sucked for football. So,
what the hell does that mean?
That means if you're a Yinzer, it doesn't guarantee that you're a Panthers fan.
I don't agree with that. I mean,
their stadium's sold out every week. Like
I didn't realize you were.
You would not believe how many diehard Panthers fans there are that like.
What happened with you?
They
you jumped ship.
I know.
You like
this Yinzer's talking about the big Panthers fans, and he's not even one himself.
Oh well, I like to see them do well. I have family ties.
Yeah, they kept your interest so much over the years.
I have family ties. You know, there's something like, you know, like my dad was a big Panthers fan either, but like, you know, it's the Pittsburgh Panthers. Like you want to.
So you think those people are traveling or paying for tickets to go into that stadium?
No, I think there's people who live in North Carolina.
They're going to pay for those tickets.
Yeah. The Yinzers spend their money on other stupid stuff. So, you know.
Yeah. I'll
think they're
take
serving
Pittsburgh.
icy light at that stadium.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I think I'll take Pittsburgh. Close game, but I don't believe in that very much. So we'll see. All right. That was all the college football. That was great. So why don't we move on to our trophy? This is an interesting one. Obviously, one that is very little known, had no idea, and kind of enjoyed it once I read about it. But we are talking about the Illibuck Trophy, and that is played between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Illinois Fighting Illini. So let me hit you guys with some fun facts. So first one, this is the penultimate trophy that we will be talking about here in season 1. For all those keeping track, that's second to last. We're almost done, guys. Can you believe it?
It has been quite a ride.
Yes. I can't believe it's been 15 weeks.
Yeah.
16 weeks, actually. Yeah.
I don't know what date is, but I believe it.
And this is also another fun fact, the only trophy that Ohio State plays for. Their primary rival, as we know, is Michigan, but those two do not play for a trophy, which is actually kind of disappointing. I think they probably could.
I don't think that rivalry can handle the trophy.
Yeah.
Like you're just asking for that to get stolen or get like burned by a team that doesn't want to give it up or something. You're just asking for problems with that, I think.
Yeah, I can just picture Ryan Day and Jim Harbaugh, exchanging trophies at the end of games.
Yeah.
Yeah, not going to happen. All right, next fun fact here. This is tied, believe it or not, for the second oldest Big Ten rivalry trophy behind the Little Brown Jug. It is tied with our old pal, the old Oaken Bucket. And
representing a whole damn state.
It is literally tied to because they were both introduced on November 21st, 1925.
What?
Same day.
Same day?
Same day. Rivalry weekend, which we'll get to. This game was not played this year. That's why we kind of put this at the end of the season. The last time it was played was in 2017, and Ohio State
I heard they were
won.
afraid to play Illinois. Penn State told them.
Yeah, and this is not scheduled to play again until 2024. Now, obviously, you can put an asterisk there. Yeah, because that's just how the random with the East and West now in the Big Ten.
That's so
you can have those cycles where you don't play a West or an East team for that long. But we'll see with the alliance. Obviously, we haven't heard much about it since it happened, but that could change this scheduling as well. But I guess we'll see. All right, guys, what's your first impression of this bad boy?
Oh, not what I was expecting.
What in the world is
that?
A
turtle.
That is that's a turtle. It's a cute little turtle though, you know.
How big is it?
I just realized that I didn't put those pictures in. It is normal size. Let me pull up a picture. Why don't you guys describe
normal
it?
size?
Yeah, why don't you guys
describe
cute
little turtle I'm gonna find in my
turtle.
backyard, or are we talking like a sea turtle?
It's a cute little wooden turtle.
Like the size of a football?
Look at it. Look at it.
Is it
It's
wooden?
so cute. Yeah,
It is wooden.
It's carved out of
It's a nice
wood.
rich mahogany.
It's got the dates, the years on his shell.
Yeah, it's got a live buck
Graffiti.
carved into his shell, and then it's got the dates of the games in yellow. That's
All right,
cute as can be.
I just updated and added some pictures of our favorite Buckeye here.
Oh, that's
it's
a good
size
size too.
Yeah.
I love that little guy. Is that Zeke holding it?
It sure is.
That's cute as can be.
His team was the last one to win it.
Oh, so it's been a while.
Well, they haven't played since 2017. So
I love turtles, man. That's cute.
Yes,
it's bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah,
it is. It's a good size. Yeah, it's a turtle, and on the shell it says the Illibuck, and it has carved, and then it has carved the dates and the scores of each date.
so I assume they go through multiple trophies.
That is a good assumption.
Or they sand his shell down and redo it.
All right, so why don't I give you guys some of this history of this rivalry. So the first matchup between the two schools was in 1902. It ended in a 0-0 tie. Very interesting game.
So who got it?
Game there. So
it
in
wasn't there yet.
1902,
Yeah,
it was
it
not
didn't have
there
it
yet. And Illinois would win the next two matchups, 46
Oof.
to nothing and 37 to nothing. So that's they dominated. Ultimately, like one would expect, Ohio State leads the overall series, 68 wins to 30 losses to 4 ties. So that's probably the least
it's
surprising
not
thing.
Yep.
So as I mentioned, this trophy was introduced in 1925, and I kind of told you before, this is the second time we've talked about the year 1925 this year, because the old
I don't
open
really
bucket.
remember what it was like.
Well, so I thought we'd do something a little different this time. I want to test your guys' memories, fellas, and the listeners as well. So, Joe, you weren't on the pod yet, but you did listen to the episode because I was struggling to speak on that episode.
Oh, the slurring episode.
So I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions to see if you guys remember what life was like in 1925.
Magna Carta.
So these are some fun facts that we talked about in episode 2, and I want to see if you guys
War of 1812
can remember. Are you guys
69.
ready? I want you both
Ready.
to guess.
I'm giving my answers. Was I right?
Let's start off with an easy one here.
Magna Carta.
Who won the World Series in 1925?
Cubs.
I want to say it was the Pirates.
Pirates.
That is 1-0, Joe. This is a competition, by the way.
Oh shit! Hold on. Okay, if it's competition.
Sorry,
hold
Magna
on.
Carta. No, you
No,
already
no,
lost.
no,
You
no,
said
no,
I
no.
remember in that episode you mentioned it was the Pirates because like Mike was excited about it.
Yes, it was the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Okay, all right.
Mike, you were down.
It's competition. All right, let's go.
All right, next question. These were there were 2 states who voted women as their governors, making them the first and second women governors in the United States. What were those 2 states?
One was Texas, wasn't it? Because it was surprising.
Okay, I don't want to, because it's a competition. I won't give any hints. But
Okay.
okay, so Joe, you got 1 for Texas.
I'm gonna say the other was.
You guys can tag team it too if you want.
I'm gonna say Michigan.
No, I don't
Illinois.
remember that.
Illinois.
So Texas is right. One of them was Texas. That was the second governor, Miriam
Vermont.
A. Ferguson. No, it was Wyoming.
I was gonna say
Shelley
Oklahoma.
Taylor Ross. Taylor Ross, excuse me. All right, 2 questions left. The National Football League added 5 teams in 1925.
Oh gosh.
What were those 5 cities that I mentioned? I will give you a hint. 2 of them, one team is still a team, and one of the cities has a current team in it. The other 3 do not anymore. So what were those 5 cities? Just give me the cities.
Okay, Columbus.
No.
Shit, I think I guess.
Right,
Can you
States.
repeat the second part you said there about the
Oh.
cities and
Yes. So one of the cities, the football team still exists to this day.
Okay.
One of them has a current team, but it's not the same team anymore.
Houston?
No. And then the other 3 do not have.
Okay, so
It's
Columbus.
either Houston,
Charlotte. No, that wasn't it.
Cleveland,
You guys are, it's in Ohio, but it's not Columbus or Cleveland.
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
No, not a current team. Not a
Akron.
Hall of Fame.
Toledo,
Canton.
Canton.
Shit.
Canton. Canton's 1. This was also when we talked about Chris Mandia wrongfully.
Miami? I was gonna say that's way too early.
Man, this is testing your guys' memories here.
Okay, so Canton's 1.
Mhm.
Where other teams that you said? Where other cities that used to have a team but no longer have a team?
Yep. 2
Uh,
more. East Coast, one's
Yeah.
in Eastern Pennsylvania.
Hartford.
Nope.
No, not Philly.
Smaller town.
Yeah.
I'll save you guys. Pottsville. And I
Oh, that's where
mistakenly
Chris
said
came
that's
in.
where
Yeah.
Uncle Kev, but he's actually Pottstown, not
Mhm.
Pottsville. So that's 2. What's the other East Coaster? The New England. You're just in the wrong state.
Hartford.
You just said
I
that.
said Hartford. Shh. You sure it's not Hartford?
Pretty positive.
What about Hartford?
Providence.
Providence, Rhode
Really?
Island. Okay.
Providence.
I don't
The
remember
steamroller. They were rolling some steam up there.
I remember I was drunk off my ass that episode.
Yeah.
Dude.
Okay. So now you have the 2 teams. One of them is currently a team, another East Coast team. Big city.
Giants.
Giants.
Yes,
Yeah.
the New York Giants. And the last team is one that I said would be close to my heart, which would also be close to Joe's heart, this city.
Detroit.
Yes, the Detroit Panthers.
Oh, there you go.
I was gonna say Cougars. That's the Red Wings.
Yes. So those are the 5 teams. Oof. Man, this Mike, you were.
I was
really
drunk
jumping
off my ass that episode.
All right. So last question. So we talked about a high school science teacher by the name of John T. Scopes, who was found guilty of breaking his state's law of teaching evolution. What state did he teach in? Remember, Mike, because you were like, oh my gosh, that was not that long ago.
Yeah. And
it is south of the Mason-Dixon line.
I thought it was Tennessee, I think. Yeah. Tennessee.
It was Tennessee.
Yeah, there we go.
He was from Dayton, Tennessee.
Got
which is
it.
interesting because you think of Dayton, Ohio. All right, there you go, guys. You kind of remembered 1925.
Oh,
kind
Joe
of.
crushed me on that one.
I think I got 1.5, right?
All right, not too bad here. I think next week might be a similar case as well. I think the last trophy is also a year that we have discussed here, so we'll see. I can't. I don't know for sure.
There's only so many years we can go through, guys. Let's
I know.
give us a
Hopefully
break.
I wasn't as
Sorry.
drunk for that other episode.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe
We'll see.
I guess we'll see.
We will see.
All right, so back to the history of this trophy. So, believe it or not, back in the 20s, the Illini, not the Wolverines, were actually the Buckeyes' biggest rival, and the two actually met on the last day of the season from 1919 through 1933. So that's kind of what prompted this trophy. So during that stretch, Illinois was by far the more dominant team, and they won 3 national championships in that stretch there. So a lot of those 30 wins were at the beginning of this rivalry in the early days before the Buckeyes program kind of took off. So to further kind of stoke the flames of the rivalry, 2 university junior honor societies, Bucket and Dipper at Ohio State, and I'm going to butcher this, but Aetius Sachem at Illinois. So those 2 societies decided in 1925 that they were going to give the rivalry an extra incentive. So they decided that the winner of that year would gain possession of a real live turtle, appropriately named the Illibuck, as a play on both the Illini and the Buckeyes. So the turtle was chosen for its long lifespan, and it is a symbol of eternal rivalry between the 2 teams. So that was kind of like the logic.
That was the only thing, is because it lived a long time.
Yep, and apparently they could get their hands on a live turtle.
Do live for a long time, yeah.
Unfortunately and ironically, this one did not. So
yeah, go figure. Yeah, that seems right. Yep.
The Illibuck unfortunately passed away in 1925 after he died escaping from an Illinois fraternity bathtub.
Oh God. Of all the places to keep something alive.
Yeah, what did they expect was going to happen with this?
I mean, come on.
So I can't obviously the stories and the sources can get a sketchy. That definitely happened. It died. There was a report
it died
that they had filled the tub with alcohol.
Oh God, who could ever? Yeah.
Alcohol.
I was going to say that turtle's drunker than
Yes. So I don't know if that is true, but it definitely did die in the hands of an Illinois fraternity.
I mean, that's true. That's absolutely true. Tell you what, as a fraternity guy, if we had a turtle, it would be getting drunk in a bathtub. Actually, we didn't have any bathtubs. That's probably a smart move on the school's part. They built those houses. So
yeah.
Probably.
So they obviously wanted to avoid that incident happening again. So after that, they decided to construct a wood replica of the turtle, and the winner of that game has received that wooden trophy ever since. And you can kind of tell a little bit here, and you can scroll down a little bit. The turtle isn't like an exact mold. It kind of changes.
It varies. It gets bigger every year.
Not every turtle, like snowflakes. Not every turtle is the same.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, man.
Yes. So
sometimes the scores are on the back. It looks like for this one, the scores are on the belly, which I can appreciate.
Yeah, it changes. Some look better than others. The 60s one is a little rough there. The
80s one's nice and polished.
Yes, that is a nice definition on the head.
That is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. good craftsmanship in the 80s, boys.
So as you guys can see, and I think it was the case of the other one, they can, as you two can see, the listeners can't. There's about 9 or so scores that can be put on there, 8 to 9, depending on the size of the turtle and how big they carve the letters in. But it looks like most of them get at least about 8 in. So as of 2007, this was the furthest or the closest to our current date that I could find. There have been 9 Illibucks that have been carved. So could be on their 10th potentially now. That was
they're only playing every few years, so they're probably not going through too many.
Right. So there have been 9. And so one last kind of interesting thing here that again I couldn't get too much information on, but it definitely had a few sources saying that this happens. But the rivalry at one point once included the smoking of a peace pipe between members of those two junior honor societies during halftime of the games. Don't know what they smoked. Don't know if they still do it, but at some point in time,
they're still doing it.
They would
someone's doing it there.
So it's obviously a very intense rivalry between these two schools.
The two. Smoke a freaking peace pipe.
Also, if you scroll up, you can see in that. Well, what was the first picture where Zeke Elliott's got it? You can see the Illinois Stadium in the background. Like, that's how small that is. Like, there's like 10 rows of bleachers. Like, it's not legit.
Yeah.
Hey man, there's no reason to spend the money if people aren't showing up, right?
But I mean, it's hard to have a rivalry when you're, if you even want to call that a stadium,
right? You have a high school stadium essentially. All right, so that's all I got for you guys. So why don't we do our rankings here? So the listeners, again, we rank on a scale of 1 to 5 for looks, history of the rivalry itself, or excuse me, the history of the trophy, the rivalry itself, and then overall, whether we put it in a bottom, middle, or top tier. So, Mike, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, I love turtles, man. This is a 5. Like I love this little thing. It's so cute. It's fun. It's cuddly. I'm a big fan. I like that they have to do a different one all the time. So that's pretty stinking cool to me. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a solid 5. For the history, actually it had a lot more history than I expected. Like anytime you throw in a turtle in a fraternity bathtub getting drunk, that's pretty cool. So for that reason, I'm gonna give it a 2. It would be a 1 because there's a peace pipe too. You know what? 3. Peace pipe and fraternity bathtub each get 1 point up.
Don't let the rivalry skew you. Keep that's category separate.
Can I put the rivalry as a 0? Like it's just they dog walk them all the time. I'll do a 1 out of respect for the fact that they got it done at the beginning. But so 5 for looks, 3 for history, 1 for rivalry. That kind of like equates to what should be a mid-tier, but we'll do mid-tier because I do love this stinking turtle. It's cute as hell. So
Joe, what do we got for us?
So for looks, I'm gonna go 4. They're unique. I was not expecting a turtle based on the name Illibuck, and clearly I didn't. Well, we're not supposed to do any research ahead of time, but not what I was expecting. So I'm gonna give it a 4 for looks. History, there's not much. I mean, I feel like you can go to any frat and they killed some kind of animal. So
whoa.
Gonna go with 1.
Whoa.
Any animal. Could be a mouse.
Whoa. I have never killed an animal, so not on purpose. I
didn't say you did, but I'm guessing your fraternity at some point has.
I hope not. Well, who knows? We'll see.
So we'll do a 1 for history. Rivalry, I'm going half a point. And overall tier, I'm going low. I've never even heard of this before, so I've been tracking the Big Ten for pretty much my whole life. So yeah, low tier.
All right. I'm gonna go looks. I'm gonna go with a 4. I love how it's unique. I was equally as shocked when I started doing research that it was a turtle. I had done pre-research on all these beforehand, but again, no idea it even existed. Definitely didn't expect it to be a turtle. I think it's awesome. It's very unique. So I'm going to go 4. The history, I give give it higher for, I think, a different reason than you guys. So I went 3.75. So
oh my God.
For what? For rivalry?
No, for history.
Oh, history.
Yeah, because one thing I do like is that it's old. So they've been doing this second oldest since 1925. So I think that's what bumped it up from a 3 to a 3.75 for me. Couldn't give it a 4 because, like Joe said, as far as like the actual like reasons why, it was a little short.
It lives a long time, and then they killed it.
Right. So, but I do like how it was a live animal. I don't think that we had a live
PETA might say otherwise.
Animal that happens very rarely. Obviously for obvious reasons. Oh, okay, Floyd. So I loved Floyd being live at the beginning as well.
Our big boy.
So that's why. Yeah, so that's why I put it there. Obviously, I think it's cool that they also did their little smoking sessions at halftime. So there's a little bit of a history. There's a history. It's just not a great rivalry. So for the rivalry, I put 0.75 because the only reason I didn't put a 0 is just like Mike said, out of respect that Illinois did at the beginning, win a lot of the games. Obviously, they're terrible at football ever since, have been, still are. They're a basketball
they'll get a
school.
sneaky win here and there.
Right. So they do win occasionally. When Ryan Day goes pro, maybe, and Bielema builds this program in 4 years, maybe in 2024, we're looking at an upset here, but yeah, the rivalry itself is low. But because of the looks and the history, I got to put it in the middle tier for me. So, and I do think looking back, when we discuss all of the past trophies, I think some of my early choices are going to change based on what we've seen.
I agree.
Well, then you're comparing them to the others that we weren't aware of yet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like I've never even seen this thing before.
Because they only play once every.
Well,
like
that, and I've
years.
also never. I don't think I've ever watched Illinois, Ohio State. Yeah,
that's not like scheduled programming for you.
I think it's on local programming.
Yeah, that's usually buried.
Wayne's
on, like,
World
Big
comes
10,
on
like,
afterwards.
Yeah, all right, so that's gonna do it for us this week, guys. So follow us on Instagram, listeners, at whiskers.whiskies, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to check out our Saturday morning bets that we're going to continue. We've been slacking a little bit there. We've been sending them to each other, but we need to finish strong here in this last week here. This is our last chance to really bet for college football. We're going to make it happen. We're going to make it worth it. Also, because it's the last one, please send us yours. This is also your last chance to really bet until the playoff in a month. You're going to have a dry spell here. So sharing is caring, folks. Please.
Sharing is caring.
So join us next week when we talk about the last rivalry trophy of season 1, the Governor's Victory Bell. For Mike and Joe, I'm EJ. Always remember, too much of anything is bad. Too much good whiskey is barely enough.
Cheers, boys.